Michael couldn't believe what he was seeing. Vanessa, his fiancée, the woman he had planned to spend his life with, the one he had trusted more than anyone else, had been cheating and lying all this time. And it wasn't just a little white lie. This was betrayal in its rawest form. After their engagement, Vanessa had gone back to Brian, her ex, and that night, they had done things Michael never imagined. She had slept with him, and Brian had recorded everything, sending the images to Michael. Michael sat in his office, the city lights flickering behind him, like 1,000 tiny reminders of how alone he suddenly felt. The images on his phone stared back at him, each frame cutting deeper than the last. He hadn't called Vanessa yet, nor confronted her. For days he tried to reason it away, to hope he was seeing things incorrectly. But deep down, he knew. She had done it. She had betrayed him while pretending to love him. Michael was a wealthy businessman, calm and focused, shaped by responsibility long before money came into his life. His father had passed away years ago, but the values he left behind stayed with him: hard work, integrity, and discipline. His mother was still alive, a kind woman who taught him compassion and respect for everyone, no matter their status. Before becoming a billionaire, Michael learned to build, to earn, and to lead with sense. The money didn't make him hard, it only made him careful. Deep down, he was a good man who wanted a peaceful life and a partner who truly loved him, not his wealth. A few days later, Vanessa walked into the office that evening, radiant as always, wearing the smile that used to make Michael's chest tighten with affection. He looked at her calmly, hiding the storm that had been building inside him for weeks. "Vanessa," he said, voice low but steady, "I called you over because I want us to talk." She tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "Babe, what is it that you want us to talk about, that you couldn't wait until I got back home?" He held out his phone, the images displayed in the gallery. "Can you please explain this?" Her expression faltered for a split second, just enough for him to see it. Then she smiled again, a practiced, careless smile. "Michael, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not what it looks like." "Are you saying it isn't what it looks like?" Michael repeated, voice sharper now. "Vanessa, I've seen the videos. I've seen the pictures. So you went back to him after everything? The night you told me you were going out with colleagues, was that a lie? You've been playing me from the start, even when I've been kind to you. I was just an option while you were granting access to other men and your ex? Oh my God." Vanessa opened her mouth, stammering, trying to deny, to twist the truth, to somehow make herself seem innocent. But Michael wasn't fooled. All the times he thought she was different, none of it had been real. She didn't care about him, not even a quarter of it. I I can explain," she said finally, her voice trembling slightly. "Michael, it's not what you think. Stop." Michael's tone cut through her words like ice. "I don't want to hear another lie. Please, when you get home, pack your things. Leave my house tonight. By the time I get home, I don't want to see you. And God bears me witness that I wouldn't want to repeat myself." Vanessa's eyes widened, and she took a step back. "Oh, because of that crap they sent to you, you're now believing another man's words over me? You'll regret this, Michael. You think you're smart. Bet me. You'll regret throwing me out." Michael shook his head slowly. "Regret? What do I have to regret? You wanted money, a lavish lifestyle. What have I not given you? What have I not done to make you happy, Vanessa? But you couldn't respect me, love me, not even a pinch of loyalty. You'd rather give access to any man that comes across you, as long as they keep feeding you attention. What happened to the love and attention that I'm giving you? That was meant for both of us. You know what? You have failed. But you chose yourself over everything we were supposed to be building together, without even thinking about me. Please leave and never come back." She left, slamming the door, muttering threats, leaving Michael alone with the cold quiet of the mansion. And it wasn't just the betrayal that hurt, it was the realization that someone he had loved, someone he had trusted more than anyone else, could treat him and the people around him with such callousness. The staff who had quit, the chef who had been fired by Vanessa, the way she spent his money carelessly, it all came together at that moment. He felt empty, hollow, and yet strangely relieved. For days, Michael moved like a walking ghost. He lost his working spirit, and some days, he would prefer to be at home doing nothing. He barely spoke to anyone, barely ate, barely slept. His friends would call, sometimes to check on him, but he pushed them away. His world was becoming silent, cold, and lonely. It was then that one of his friends suggested getting someone to help around the house, someone who could check in on him, make sure things ran smoothly, even just keep him company when he needed it. Michael resisted at first. Pride, anger, and heartbreak wouldn't let him. He didn't want women around him. He didn't want reminders of human kindness after Vanessa. After several days of talking with his friends, Michael finally gave in. He realized he could no longer handle everything on his own. So one morning he picked up his phone and contacted a domestic staff agency, requesting a maid. The agency later reviewed their list and recommended someone to him, and that was when Faith entered his life. Faith was 25 years old. She carried herself with a quiet grace and good manners that came naturally to her. She was beautiful, not just in her looks, but in her character, the kind of beauty that didn't need to announce itself. She had struggled through life, yes, but she hadn't let hardship make her bitter. Her father had passed away and her mother was currently sick, yet she refused to compromise her values. She worked hard, took what she could honestly earn, and carried herself like someone who knew the worth of integrity. Michael observed her quietly at first. She wasn't like Vanessa. She simply did her work, respected the rules, and showed kindness where it was due. But Michael wasn't ready to trust again. He tested her subtly, leaving money in drawers, watching her reactions, seeing if she would take advantage of any opportunities. But she didn't, not even once. And yet, even with all her honesty, Michael found himself drawn to her in ways he didn't understand. He was used to women wanting him for his money, for his status. But Faith, she seemed different, and that intrigued and scared him. One day he handed her a credit card. "Please go to the market," he said. "Buy whatever the house needs. I'll be going out for a meeting. The driver will take you." Faith took it, giving a small smile. "Yes, sir. I'll make sure everything is perfect." Michael watched her leave, feeling a strange mix of skepticism and hope. Could she really be different? Could someone actually value integrity over money? All right, let's see then. As Faith walked into the busy streets, carefully selecting groceries and stopping to help a beggar, Michael, who had been tailing behind her, he realized something. He didn't know yet what he was feeling, but one thing was certain. He had never seen anyone like her before. Michael frowned. Something about it didn't feel ordinary. That small act, it didn't feel ordinary. He leaned back in the car, heart racing, staring at the steering wheel. She was helping people, but what else was she capable of? And just like that, a question formed in his mind. Could he really trust her? Michael had never been the trusting type. After Vanessa, trust felt like a luxury he couldn't afford. Even Faith, the quiet, respectful girl he had reluctantly hired, was under his scrutiny. He didn't want to, but he couldn't stop himself. After all, his heart had been burned before. He had promised himself he wouldn't let anyone close again without proof of loyalty. Faith came in early every morning, tying her hair neatly, moving around the kitchen and mansion with a quiet efficiency that made Michael almost resent his own laziness. She didn't complain, didn't question his orders, and didn't seek attention. She simply worked. And every time she moved through the house, Michael would be seen watching her. He would put her through small tests. A few hundred notes left carelessly on the dining table, doors slightly ajar with cash inside, small wallets left unattended. Each time he would watch her from his CCTV camera in his study, and every time Faith handled it the same way. She would take what she needed for her tasks, lock away valuables, and never once touch what didn't belong to her. Michael was expecting her to falter at some point, to be tempted, to show that she was just another person who could be bought. But she never did. One afternoon after a long day at work, Michael decided to push the test further. He called her into the office, where the city lights cast a golden glow through the tall windows. "Faith," he said casually, leaning back in his chair, "I want you to run some errands for me. The house needs a lot of things, groceries, supplies. Whatever you think is necessary. Faith's eyes widened slightly, though she masked it quickly. Yes, sir. I'll make sure everything is purchased. Michael slid a credit card across the table. This is for you to use. Get whatever is needed. You don't need to worry about limits. It's an unlimited card. Faith's hand paused over the card. She looked at him as if reading his expression and then nodded. Okay, sir. I won't disappoint you. Michael watched her leave, and for the first time in weeks, he felt a strange mix of curiosity and unease. He didn't know why, but he decided to follow discreetly, using a different car, keeping his distance. He wanted to see how far she would go, how she would handle the freedom he had given her. The market was busy, crowded with people haggling, selling, and rushing about. Faith moved calmly, picking what was needed for the house. She checked and selected only what was required. But Michael's eyes widened when he saw her pause to help an old woman struggling with her basket, giving her extra money from her own wallet. She handed food to a young boy sitting alone on the curb before returning to her shopping. Michael felt something stir inside him, a feeling he had buried deep after Vanessa. He couldn't quite put a name to it, but he knew one thing. Faith wasn't like the others. She didn't just take and consume what was given to her. She gave, even when it wasn't asked of her. When she returned home, Michael was waiting in the living room. She handed him the groceries neatly arranged. Everything you requested is here, sir, she said politely. And I also helped a few people on the way with leftover change. They needed food. Michael's mouth went dry. He wanted to ask her why, to question her decisions, but something held him back. Instead, he simply took the bags. Thank you, he muttered, his voice quieter than usual. Faith didn't notice the change in him. She left the room continuing her duties, cleaning, arranging, and organizing. Michael sat back, stunned, thinking about what he had just witnessed. In all his years of wealth and experience, he had never seen a person act like this. A person who could resist temptation, who could care for others even when it didn't benefit them. The days turned into weeks, and Michael's test continued. He would leave money in odd places, sometimes hundreds, sometimes more, observing her reactions. Each time she would return the money, take only what was necessary, sometimes even locking away the excess without a word. Michael began to realize that he was not just testing her, he was studying her, learning her patterns, her values. He had expected her to fall for it, but the more he tried, the more he understood that Faith's integrity wasn't for show. It was real. And yet, despite her honesty, Michael couldn't shake the coldness he felt toward himself. He had been burned before, and part of him still wanted to believe that even Faith might one day disappoint him. It was a cruel paradox. He admired her, respected her, even felt a strange fondness toward her, but his heart refused to fully open. One evening, after returning from work, Michael found Faith in the dining room watching a program on TV. He leaned against the doorway, watching her quietly. "Faith," he said softly, "are you married?" Faith froze, startled by the question. "No, sir," she replied cautiously. I am not married." Michael nodded, letting the question hang in the air. He didn't press further, but inside he felt a flicker of hope. Someone like Faith, someone honest, could be trusted. Someone like Faith could change the coldness that Vanessa had left behind. Over the following days, he started noticing things he hadn't before. The way she treated his staff, the way she spoke to delivery men, neighbors, even strangers on the street. She was consistently kind, patient, and polite. And Michael, he began to feel things he hadn't felt in years. It was confusing, and yet a relief. But then, as the days stretched on, Michael began noticing some weird behavior. Not in Faith's actions, but in his own reactions. He would catch himself watching her too closely, worrying when she stepped outside, feeling a strange anxiety he didn't understand. He was used to being in control, used to keeping people at arm's length. Faith was changing that. And just as he began to confront this unfamiliar feeling, something unexpected happened. One night, Michael came home drunk from a friend's birthday party. The driver helped him to the mansion, but he was too unstable to make it to his room on his own. Faith rushed to help him. She took him to his room, gently removing his shoes, covering him with a blanket, making sure he was comfortable. And then it happened. Michael, overwhelmed by his emotions and vulnerability, reached out to her before she could even move. Before Faith could react, he kissed her. It was a moment that neither of them had expected. They crossed a line that should not have been tampered with. The next morning, Faith was shocked, shy, and confused. She tried to apologize, but Michael, still groggy, smiled weakly. "Don't worry. It's okay, and it's all my fault. I am sorry for what happened yesterday. I didn't mean for it to happen." From that moment, things changed between them. A quiet understanding grew that neither of them could deny. And Michael began to bring small gifts for her, and he took an interest in Faith's life beyond the mansion. Faith, in turn, felt herself drawn to him, her heart softening despite the social gap between them. But life, as always, had a way of testing them. Faith began to feel uneasy, tired, and dizzy. There were moments when she felt like vomiting, which finally sent her rushing to the bathroom. Michael noticed it and felt concern. The next day, he immediately called the driver to take her to the hospital. When the test results came back, Faith was pregnant. Michael was silent, dumbfounded. He wasn't expecting this. Not now, not this soon. He realized with a mix of fear and responsibility that he was the father. But more importantly, he knew he had to protect Faith, honor her, and ensure that she was respected and cared for. He approached her gently, apologizing for the circumstances and expressing his willingness to take full responsibility. "Faith," he said softly, "I know this wasn't planned, and I won't lie to you. Over the past weeks and months, I've grown fond of you. I like you, and if you'll allow me the honor, I want to spend my life with you. You've proven to me your heart, your honesty, and your integrity. I want to be with you." Faith felt a wave of emotions: happiness, relief, nervousness. But above all, gratitude. She had always respected Michael, admired his strength, and now she loved him. She accepted his proposal, knowing that despite the unexpected pregnancy, their future could be bright. The news of their engagement and impending marriage reached the world quickly. And when Vanessa saw that Michael had moved on and married Faith, she went mad. She couldn't believe that the man she had tried to manipulate and betray had found someone better, someone honest, kind, and real. Michael and Faith's wedding was beautiful, simple, and heartfelt. For Michael, it was more than a celebration. It was a vindication of trust, integrity, and the belief that good people still existed in a world full of betrayal. Here's a little advice I want to share with you. Life will test you, and not everyone who smiles at you has good intentions. Stay true to yourself. Be honest, kind, and respectful, even when no one is watching. Your values are like a compass. They guide you to the right people and the right opportunities. So remember, trust takes time, actions speak louder than words, and sometimes the right people come into your life when you least expect it. Keep your heart kind, but your eyes open, and you'll always end up where you're meant to be. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And also subscribe for more stories like this.